Welcome to Style and Confidence, where transformative coaching meets personal styling for business success. I'm your host, Claire Silk, a transformative life coach and a personal stylist, passionate about helping women like you align your inner worth with your outer expression. Each week, we explore how to build lasting confidence from the inside out, so you can show up as your most authentic, empowered self. Whether you're looking to break through limiting beliefs, build authentic confidence and a winning mindset, or create a wardrobe that truly empowers you, you are in the right place. Get ready to transform your relationship with both your mind and your style. Hello, and welcome back to the Style and Confidence podcast, where style meets confidence for business success. I'm Claire Silk, and I'm so pleased that you've joined me today. So last week we talked about why competence isn't quite enough anymore, and how ambitious women need to close the gap between being capable and being confident. So many women struggle with being visible. They know they're capable, but they don't want to be loud. They're not naturally loud, and they don't want to put themselves out there. So how do you actually get seen? And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. Leadership presence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. I know I'm certainly not. And it's not about dominating conversations or talking over people or demanding attention or performing a confidence that you actually don't feel inside. Leadership presence is quieter, deeper, and actually far more powerful. It's about being remembered for who you really are, not because you were really loud and you walked into the room talking loudly, being the person that spoke the most. It is about commanding attention, however, without demanding it. It's all about influencing other people through your grounded and authentic presence, rather than through force or a performance. So today I want to look at what leadership presence is and why it matters so much for ambitious women, and how you can develop it in a way that still feels like you're being you. I'm sure we've all come across women who at first glance are very impressive. They speak confidently, they have strong opinions, they make sure everyone in the room knows their credentials. They are loud in every sense of the word, what they look like and how they behave. And I'm sure we also all know women who are quieter, who don't dominate conversations, who don't always speak up. However, when they do speak, the room listens. People remember what they say. Both women are clearly competent, and both are leaders in their fields. However, only one of these women have true leadership presence, and it's not the loud one. I remember years ago being told that I needed to raise my profile in order to get a promotion. I had confided in my manager at the time that I just didn't feel confident speaking all the time in meetings and being the first one to contribute. And he actually said to me that it didn't matter, and that although I was quieter and more softly spoken, the difference I made was that when I spoke, everyone listened, because they knew and they trusted that what I had to say was of great value. Presence isn't about volume, it is about impact. You can be the loudest person in the room and have no presence at all. It is just noise sometimes. Alternatively, you can be the quietest person in the room, but command everyone's attention. And that is true presence. Think of leadership presence as the quality that makes people pay attention to you and trust you, remember you and want to follow you. Not because you're demanding it, but because there is something about your energy, your groundedness, your authenticity that draws them in. It is not about what you do. It is about who you are and how you behave. It is the very essence of you. This matters a lot for ambitious women because we have been taught that to be leaders, we need to be like men. We need to be assertive and dominant and loud. And women who show up in that way can be judged harshly for it. They can be called aggressive and bossy or too much. And none of these things are true. It is simply who they are. So we're stuck. We're told to be leaders, but then we lead in the way that we've seen modelled for us by men, and then we're penalised for it. So this is why developing your very own leadership presence is essential, because it turns out that we don't need to be loud to be a good leader. We don't need to be aggressive or to dominate to have influence. And we don't need to perform to have presence. We just need to be grounded, stay true to who we are, and be authentically, fully ourselves. And that's far more powerful than any performance could ever be, unless of course you are an Oscar-winning actress. Women that have genuine leadership presence have a combination of qualities that work together to create a magnetic, memorable, influential energy. Firstly, they're grounded. This is the foundation of presence. Being grounded means you're not scattered, you're not frantic, you're not performing, and you're not mentally elsewhere. You are here, present, in your body, in the moment and truly connected to yourself and who you are. When you're grounded, you will feel the difference, and other people can feel the difference. They sense that you are solid and trustworthy, and that you're not going to be swayed and chopping and changing with every other opinion or criticism that comes your way. You know who you are. Being grounded isn't being rigid, though. It is being rooted. Think of it like a tree that will be bending in the wind and influenced by the seasons, but it stays steady. In the entrepreneurial space, there are so many women who have huge ambitions, and they are brilliant, but they're often left ungrounded. They're anxious and they're constantly in their heads. All that undermines their presence because people can sense the instability. And I know for me, when I have moments when I'm in my head and I'm overthinking, I feel anxious and I'm not truly present. But when I have calmer moments and when I really feel grounded, I feel solid, I feel present. And actually, other people comment on my energy. I've so often been told I have a calming influence. Second, these women are truly present. Most of us aren't actually present most of the time. We're busy thinking about the last meeting or the next meeting or what we've got to pack for the children tomorrow or the school trip that's happening or we've got to pay money here and there and buy somebody a birthday present and remember to get to that party. There's so much going on. The mental load is huge. And all of this goes on whilst we're also being worried about how we're perceived. We're planning what we're going to say next instead of listening to the person that's talking. You'll be familiar with stressful icebreakers designed to make everybody feel at ease, but really you're thinking, crikey, what on earth am I going to say? And you're not listening to everybody else's 3 truths and a lie. Women with real presence are actually there, in the moment. They are fully engaged with what's happening right in front of them. Other people can tell. When somebody is genuinely present with you, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel like you matter. I remember when I was at the beginning of my coach training, and as an exercise, we all practiced being truly present and actively listening. It is unbelievable how many people found that really challenging, to be fully present without your thoughts wandering, and you realise how quickly your thoughts wander off. But being genuinely present, helping somebody feel seen and heard and feel like they matter is so incredibly powerful. Third, these women are authentic. They are not performing a version of leadership that they think they should be embodying. They are being themselves, with all the quirks, their unique perspectives, their particular style. And this authenticity is magnetic. When you have somebody who is stood there with the energy that is truly theirs, it feels so different. Nobody wants a performance. People are tired of leaders who seem so polished but not real. And in recent years, where everyone's had to look like everybody else and behave like everybody else, and now with AI, not even being a real human, people are craving authenticity. So when you show up genuinely as yourself, not trying to be somebody else and not performing a confidence you don't really feel, but just actually being who you actually are, people trust you so much more. They connect with you more easily and they remember you. Fourth, these women trust themselves. This is huge and it makes such a difference, my goodness. Women with presence don't constantly second guess themselves. Everybody has a wobble from time to time. But the biggest difference I see in myself and in other women is when you can move through that self-doubt and build that self-trust. This takes time, but it is so worth the investment. Women with a leadership presence who don't constantly second-guess themselves, don't seek validation from everybody else before they make a decision. They don't apologise for their perspective or for taking up space, metaphorically or physically. They trust their own judgment. They back themselves. This self-trust creates an energy that others respond to. When you trust yourself, other people automatically trust you too. And not because you're always right. Nobody will ever always be right. Because you are solid in decision-making and your own knowing. Fifth, these women communicate with clarity and conviction. They don't over-explain. They don't qualify every statement with I think or maybe or I could be wrong but, and they don't upspeak. What I mean by that is when you speak up at the end of a sentence and it makes it sound like a question. The difference being, I'm going to run the London Marathon in April. Or, I'm going to run the London Marathon in April. One sounds certain and clear and confident without apology, and the other sounds really hesitant and definitely unsure. By speaking with clarity and conviction, you say what you mean and you mean what you say, clearly and confidently. This is not to say that you are closed to other people's perspectives, but it means you're not constantly undermining your own point of view before you've even finished expressing it, perhaps. Sixth, women with leadership presence take up space without apology. I alluded to this previously. This is something that so many women struggle with. It sounds like a bit of a buzz phrase at the moment, but we've been taught to make ourselves small and to not take up too much space, to be accommodating, flexible and agreeable. This starts in childhood. As women, we will have been told as little girls to do what other people say, to always help other people, and to be accommodating and agreeable. But so many of us now struggle with people pleasing and we lose our boundaries. Women with presence understand that taking up space isn't selfish and it isn't rude, it is necessary. These women sit at the table like they belong there. They have earned that right. They don't make themselves physically smaller, as we so often do, sitting very neatly with our legs crossed and our arms tucked in. They don't shrink their voice, and importantly, they do not minimise their contributions. They are there to claim their space, and they have value to add when they speak. Seventh, these women have a distinctive style and presence, and this is this blend of style and presence where my work really comes in. Women with leadership presence don't dress like everybody else. They're not following trends or a prescribed formula for professional dress. They've developed their own way of showing up that's clearly intentional, clearly them, and clearly aligned with their authority. That visual distinctiveness reinforces their presence. It makes them memorable and signals, I know who I am and I'm not trying to be anybody else. Think of professional women like Anna Wintour and Victoria Beckham, even Catherine Middleton. They know who they are. They are dressing like themselves and they are very present. They are not following trends and they are not dressing to a formula. They have authority. To be clear, leadership presence is not about being loud. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You can be incredibly introverted and quite quiet and still have leadership presence. It is not dominating every conversation and speaking over other people. And it's not having all the answers or being correct all the time. You don't have to be perfect or polished or perform, and you certainly don't have to be aggressive or pushy or demanding. You can still have a beautiful feminine energy. So it is definitely not about being like the male leaders that you have observed over your life. Certainly in my career in retail, the male leaders I've come across have majoritarily not been nice people, and that is not an energy or a style I would like to pick up. Leadership presence, especially for women, is something quieter and far more powerful, where you are so grounded, so present, so authentic, clear and distinctively yourself that people can't help but pay attention to you. It is influencing others, not through force, but through the quality of your presence, and being remembered not because you were the loudest, but because you were so truly yourself. I have worked with women who have felt that they weren't assertive enough to be a leader. They needed to be louder. However, the problem is not that they weren't loud. That wasn't naturally who they were. The problem really was that they didn't trust themselves, and so they didn't have the presence that they needed. People can feel this energy, and then they don't take you seriously. So the work that needs to be done is on presence and on grounding practices so you can be really sure of your own identity and who you are. This helps you show up solidly and centered rather than anxious and scattered. So with these women, I work on presence. We work on grounding practices so they can show up in their true identity and feel centered rather than anxious and scattered. And we work on being present, actually listening and engaging, rather than being in your head and worrying about how you're being perceived or what you need to say next. A huge part of what I do with women is working on self-trust, so that you are able to back your own perspective instead of constantly seeking validation. I coach these women through communication, so they're able to say what they mean without over-explaining or over-qualifying. And we also work on external presence, developing a style that truly reflects your own authority and makes you memorable for who you are. And afterwards, if you weren't loud, you still won't be loud. But when you can build this presence and build that self-trust, when you speak, people will listen. People will remember what you said, because developing presence is so much more powerful than being loud. So if, like me, you are not naturally a loud person, you do not need to become loud or aggressive or perform a version of leadership that doesn't feel like you. You can develop your own leadership presence that is grounded, authentic and genuinely you. You can develop one that allows you to be remembered without being loud, and you will be able to have influence without it feeling forced, and you will be able to command attention without demanding it. The world needs your leadership, especially if you are quieter, because these women often have observed so much and absorbed so much. These women are often so much more empathetic, and so they have a really different perspective, a really valuable perspective. But the world needs the real version of you, not a performed version. So your action for this week, what I want you to do is to work on developing one aspect of your leadership presence. So step 1, choose which aspect of presence you would most like to develop. Based on what I've talked about today, think about which area needs the most attention for you. So grounding, do you show up anxious and scattered? Or are you solid and very centered in yourself? Presence. Are you actually there in the moment, or are you in your head thinking about something else, or worrying about how you're being perceived or what to say next? Authenticity. Are you being yourself, or are you performing how you think a leader should be behaving? Self-trust. In my opinion, this is the biggest. Do you back yourself, or do you constantly seek validation? A huge part of the work I do is on self-trust and building that self-belief. If you can build self-trust and self-belief, you will build confidence. Clarity. Do you communicate with conviction or constantly qualify and over-explain? As my husband often tells me, can I say in 3 words what I would usually say in 3 sentences? Taking up space. Do you claim your space or do you make yourself small? This is physically and metaphorically. And distinctive presence. Does how you show up reflect your authority and make you memorable? So out of that, choose one. And then step 2, identify a specific situation this week where you can practice this. So maybe you have a meeting coming up, or a presentation, or a networking event, or a difficult conversation. Whatever your situation is, choose one of these where you will be able to consciously practice the aspect of presence that you would like to develop. And step 3, prepare yourself differently. Take the time to do this. So if you're working on grounding, a great thing to do before the situation is to take 5 minutes to ground yourself. Sit down or stand up if you can. Breathe deeply. Feel your feet on the floor. Connect to your body, right into your gut, into the center of your body. Remind yourself that you are solid. You are here and you are enough. If you're interested in grounding, there's actually some really interesting work done in Tai Chi, and the real Tai Chi experts are able to ground themselves so much that they can make themselves impossible to be picked up. I can't remember the name, but there was somebody who conducted an experiment and he grounded himself and he asked people to pick him up. And they could not move him. Big men picking him up, they just couldn't do it. And then he released himself, and all of a sudden, these men could pick him up very easily, because there were a few of them. And then he grounded himself again, and again, they just couldn't pick him up. This is amazing. But if you can do this even slightly, I mean, I think it took him years of practice, but if you can do this even slightly, you will feel the difference. It is powerful. Grounding yourself is powerful, and it helps you feel more calm and connected to your body, and you are able to just go through a situation. If you're public speaking, if you ground yourself before, you will go through your speaking actually able to enjoy it. If you are working on presence, commit to fully being here. Don't think about the last meeting you're in or the next one that you're going to. Don't worry about how you're being perceived. Just be fully engaged. Really listen to what's happening right now in front of you. Truly live in the now. This is great for networking. If you are talking to somebody networking and you are truly present, they will remember you. There's a saying, the most interesting person in the room is the most interested person in the room. By being fully present in a conversation that you are having, the other party to your conversation will remember you. If you're working on authenticity, remind yourself that you don't need to perform or be somebody else. You just need to be yourself, your true self, with your real perspective and your real personality and your real style. If you're working on self-trust, make a decision about what you're going to contribute and back yourself. Don't seek validation from everyone else first. Trust your judgment. If it helps, go through the ways that you think. Close your eyes and think with your head. What's the decision you're trying to make? And then move the feeling downwards. Think with your heart. What does your heart tell you? It helps if you can place your hands on your chest. And then move your hands down, move the feeling down to your stomach and think with your gut. What does your gut tell you? Your intuition. And think with that. If you're working on taking up space, sit at the table like you belong there, like you have earned that seat. Don't make yourself physically smaller and tuck yourself in. Sit like a man and speak with your natural volume. Don't apologise for your contributions. What you have to contribute is genuinely valuable. If you are working on distinctive presence, show up in a way that's clearly intentional and clearly you. Wear something that makes you feel authoritative and memorable. Your own unique style, but something that you feel great in. And step 4, notice what happens when you do this. When you practice the aspect of presence that you are trying to develop, pay attention to how you feel. What feels different? How do you feel different? And then also, how do people respond to you? Do people treat you any differently? Do you feel more grounded? Do you feel more confident or more like yourself? Do you feel more powerful? And what becomes possible then that wasn't possible before? Step 5, reflect and build further. So after the situation, reflect. What worked? What felt challenging? What do you need to practice more? What do you need to work on next? And then keep building, keep practicing, keep developing your presence, because leadership presence is not something that you have or you don't. It is definitely something you develop. It's a skill. It's something you strengthen and cultivate over time. It is one conscious choice at a time. It might take you moving outside of your comfort zone slightly, and this in turn will build self-trust. So set yourself a goal and make sure it's achievable. Make sure it's slightly, ever so slightly outside of your comfort zone. Achieve your goal, and you will have built a small bit of self-trust. Do that again and again. So, as we come to the end of today, let's recap. Leadership presence is not about being loud, or dominating, or aggressive, or performing. It's about being truly grounded and present, being authentically you and building that self-trust. It's about being clear and claiming the space that you are in. And above all, being distinctively you. Women with presence are remembered not because they're the loudest, but because they're the most real. They influence through the quality of their presence rather than through force. I am sure you will be able to think of somebody who is perhaps loud, who feels like they're performing. And I'm sure that something will feel off with these women. I know I've got a couple of women in my life who it feels like everything they say is embellished. It feels like they're performing all the time. And it just doesn't feel quite right. Something doesn't sit right. And then occasionally you get moments with them, usually one-on-one, where actually it feels like they're being themselves, their true selves. And certainly for me, I like that version better. So your action for this week is to choose one aspect of presence to develop. Identify a situation and practice it. Prepare yourself differently and notice what happens, and then reflect and keep building. Remember, you don't need to be loud to be a leader, but you do need to be present, grounded and authentically yourself. And when you are, people will remember you. They will trust you and they will want to follow you. Not because you demand their attention, but because your presence commands it. There are some great examples of this in head teachers. When my children started at the school they did, the head teacher then, she just had this air of authority, this presence. You could tell when she was in the room, not because she was speaking, but just because she was there. It was captivating and it made you feel safe and held. It made you feel calm because you just trusted that she was in control. So remember, when you can be authentically yourself, build self-trust, be present and be grounded, people will remember you and they will trust you because your presence commands it. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If this resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Which aspect of leadership presence are you working on this week? Send me a message on Instagram or email me. And if you want to develop all aspects of leadership presence, if you are ready to be remembered without being loud, to have influence without force, to show up with grounded, authentic authority, I can help you. My Confidently You digital program is a great place to start. It is designed to help you develop both the internal confidence and the external presence that creates real leadership presence. We work on grounding, on self-trust, self-belief, and authenticity. We look at how you show up in a way that reflects your authority and makes you memorable. It is self-paced, designed to take 4 weeks, and is specifically designed for ambitious women who want to build that presence and to be authentically them, who want to be confidently you. It's designed to take 4 weeks, but it is self-paced, so it can take however long you need it to, and you can revisit parts that you feel you would benefit from spending more time on. It is specifically designed for ambitious women who want to lead in a way that feels genuinely like them and create that presence, that authentic presence. You can find out more at clairesilk.com. And I'll put the link in the show notes. So until next week, remember, you do not need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be present. Thank you for listening to Style and Confidence, where style meets confidence for business success. If you have enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss out on our weekly confidence-building conversations. You can also connect with me over on LinkedIn as Claire Silk or on Instagram at Silk Style and Confidence for more style and mindset tips. Until next time, remember, true confidence comes from within. Style helps it shine.